Bonjour, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Handbags, Manbags, Bumbags podcast. This week, we are coming to you for episode 21. And this week, we're taking another different approach towards our content. This week, we're going to be ranking, in a way, the most iconic, the most picturesque, and the greatest sporting stadiums of all time. Now, we've all come up with a list of about 5 or 6 each. We've all taken different approaches because I know for a fact I've taken a more picturesque approach, being a former geographer in my A-level days. And I know some of the other two have taken a more of an iconic and greater route. But we will assess where they come in the rankings at the end of the episode, and we'll see, and we'll dive into what makes them so great and why they've become such an iconic stadium in a way. So without further ado, let's just run through a bit of what's going to be happening here. So as I mentioned before, we've all named about 5 or 6 stadiums across the world, wherever it may be. And we're going to, we've all brought 6 to the table, and we're going to see which ones are more iconic than others and whether they make a strong argument or not. Because some may not be well known, some may be very well known, but we will see as the episode goes on. So the way we will do this, I presume, is we should probably say which one we have as our strongest argument into the most iconic sporting stadium, and then work our way through them, because this is not just football. This is all sports, because I know for a fact I've got 3 sports on my list, 3 sporting state. Well, 3 sports which different sports are played at, and they are football, cricket, and baseball. So it's not just football related like last week. If you haven't gone back and listened to last week's, I urge you to do so, because that was a very fun episode to record. But this week, it's stadium related, and this is the sort of content we're going to be producing over the next coming weeks or so, as I say we're struggling for ideas. We're not. It's just difficult when there's not much sporting news coming out. But yes, there was a Super League last week. Yes, there's the boycott this week, which is a big thing. But we can't go on for 40 minutes talking about that. So this is the scope we're taking, and we feel that it could generate some decent content. So let's get on with the episode as the Handbags, Manbags, Bumbags podcast presents Greatest Sporting Stadiums. So, who wants to start off to name their first stadium?
Is it first out of what, 5 or 6?
5. Well, we'll say 5.
Yeah. 5. Okay. Who wants to go first?
You can do it if you want. I'm happy to let you go first.
Right. My first iconic stadium, and this is going to be a bit biased because I love them. It's Arrowhead Stadium, home of the Kansas City Chiefs. And the reason why I think it should be on this list is because it holds the world record for being the loudest stadium in the world. Let me just do the maths quick. Can't remember. I think it broke the world record against New England Patriots a few years ago. The largest decibels in a sporting stadium ever. So
yeah, that is it's a biased one for you, but we'll see if it puts a strong case forward. Because we know, well, obviously Kansas City are one of the big NFL sides of the last 5 years or so, and they're certainly rising in terms of stature within the game. I wouldn't even say that's really a derby either, Kansas City versus New England.
No, well, to be fair, at the time, everyone wanted to, it was the Tom Brady era. Everyone wanted to beat the New England Patriots because, they just keep winning the Super Bowls. But yeah, I've had a look and they reached 142.2 decibels. So they broke the record for the largest sports stadium in the world.
That's pretty loud. Got to say that for a fact. So, yeah, well, there's only one on my list that comes under America, but it's not my first argument. My first argument, because I've gone down the more picturesque route, as we said, it actually comes from South Africa, and it's the Newlands Ground in Cape Town. One of the most notable moments for me from that cricket ground was Ben Stokes scoring just under 260 runs against South Africa in a test match there. And the most notable thing about that stadium is the stunning backdrop behind the stands. You've got the whole mountain line behind the stands. If you see any pictures of it, you'll know how iconic it is. And especially on a lovely summer's day in South Africa, it's one of the greatest views in cricket.
Yeah, can't argue with that. I couldn't actually remember what it looked like, so I've got a few pictures up now, and it does, beautiful looking.
Yeah, well, we will put as a note, I will put pictures up in the edit of the stadiums in question, so that you, as the viewers watching on YouTube and listening on Spotify, will be able to rank them yourselves in whichever order you think they should come under. So we'll go to you next, Rob, for which you think's your stronger arguments.
No idea what my stronger ones are. I'll just pick one randomly, to be honest. The start of the one, I've actually got a small bit of information on. I've gone with Wimbledon, but if you want more specific, the centre court, just because the most iconic location in tennis, really, isn't it?
Strawberries and cream and bottles of champagne. Wimbledon it is. Yeah, I'd say there's certainly an iconic British sporting venue, that's for sure.
Especially on one of if it's on one of the hottest days of the year,
people sitting on that bank watching outside at the big screen outside the ground.
Henman Hill, isn't it? That's what they call it.
That is what they call it. And especially you can hear the roar when especially people like Andy Murray, when Joe Conter was doing well at Wimbledon, you can hear the roar and you can hear how much the British crowds get behind their stars. And it's like any sport. I mean, you've got, for instance, tennis fans are quite big for Brits. You've got the Barmy Army for cricket. You've got, I don't know what the England's supporters group is, but
I think they just go by Barmy Army, I believe, as well.
Might well be, but they certainly make some noise and support their home nations. And it's the same with tennis. And I'd say Wimbledon is a strong shout for an sporting venue.
Everybody knows it as well, don't they? It's one of those few, even if you're not a fan of tennis, you'll know Wimbledon. It's one of those few venues around the world that everybody knows of, even if they're not a fan of the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's not in the most picturesque part of London, in South London.
No.
But
I definitely didn't go for the picturesque route.
Then again, it's
to be fair,
it's iconic.
Over recent years, they have spent so much money renovating the area and renovating the stadium. So, yeah,
absolutely.
Okay. The cathedral.
You can go for your next one then, John, after this.
Yeah. What now?
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah.
So my second out of 3 from America is Fenway Park. Home of the Boston Red Sox is a baseball stadium. It's one of the oldest baseball stadiums in the world. And it just looks like they have never changed it. Like they've updated it and, brought it up to safety standards and that. But it's just so nostalgic the way it looks. It looks like old time baseball. Like it's just such a nostalgic stadium. It's just like, it's on my bucket list of ones to go to be fair. It's just an incredible view.
Yeah, well, Fenway Park, it's obviously Boston Red Sox, one of the most well-known baseball teams across the world. Yeah. And having such an iconic ground like that, and I'm having a look at pictures now. The backdrop's not too bad either, with the city of Boston behind it. Yeah, it fits in well.
To be fair, the stadium the stadium was rocking the first game back after the marathon bombing.
Oh yeah,
in 2015.
Like the emotion and the atmosphere. That I remember watching that game on TV, and to be fair, that season Boston went all the way and won the World Series, and it just galvanized the community, maybe a nation as well, because of what happened, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, no, that stadium was just pumping, and it's just such an iconic, nostalgic stadium.
Yeah, well, I have also got a baseball stadium on my list. It's probably not as iconic as Fenway Park, and it's not a big city, as much of a big city as Boston. It's the Bush Memorial Stadium, the home of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Oh, yeah. I remember Liverpool-Chelsea playing there in a friendly a few years ago.
Why they play football at a baseball, I do not know. But
to be fair, the Cardinals Stadium is such a nostalgic-looking stadium in the same lines as Fenway, to be fair.
Exactly. Well, again, the more approach I've gone for is the picturesque look with the backdrop of the city of St. Louis. I mean, Missouri's not the most popular US state by any means, but they managed to put on a good show at St. Louis, and it's quite a big ground as well for a baseball stadium. So it's not one of my stronger arguments, but it's one up there for a more picturesque stadium.
Yeah. I can make this very easy for my second one because I also went for Fenway.
There we go.
That's one of my 5.
There we go.
That's over my 5. I've got 5 different sports in my 5, so I've had tennis and baseball in my first 2.
That's clever. That's clever going for 5 different ones. I didn't think of doing that. I've only got 3 sports on mine.
I didn't think of doing it either. It just tests us how it turned out. We know I don't plan this.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point. John, so why don't you tell us your third one?
Yeah, my final one from the States. And it is sort of a picturesque one because of the backdrop and the way the stadium just looks. It's Centurylink Field in Seattle, home of the Seattle Sounders.
I knew you were going to say, as you said, picturesque.
Yep, and Seattle Seahawks. It is just such an amazing stadium. And again, Legion of Boom, like the stadium is rocking when it's full capacity and the atmosphere is just pumping. You can really hear like the crowd get into it. It's just a lovely stadium.
Well, when the Seattle Sounders play there, they've not exactly got the best chance in the world. You've just got that one bloke with the megaphone shouting "fight and win" all the time.
Yeah,
it's just Americans, though, and they're not.
It's just American. It's just American soccer, as they call it, because they're just idiots.
Yes.
Yeah, they've got a long way to go in terms of football chants, but they try, and you can applaud them for that.
Well, the MLS is certainly a growing market. There's no question about that because you've got new teams coming in, such as David Beckham's into Miami. You've got FC Cincinnati coming in, Austin.
You've got Austin, Nashville.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's certainly rising, and there's more teams coming into it. But the fact they still call it soccer is it'll never reach the heights of the Premier League. And I feel that the European Super League was probably introduced for the American market in a way, just to try and get their viewerships up.
I saw a meme the other day, and it was the MLS getting owned and burned in one sentence, and it was the MLS official Twitter page put up, "It's soccer," and then someone replied, "Well, why does half your teams have FC in their name?"
Yeah.
Come on, mate.
Stupid. Well, in general, Americans are quite stupid. No offense, but it's true.
Well, there's the American audience gone.
Well, we didn't have any anyway, so there we go. It doesn't matter. But
no, I'm all for the American audience. Hi, guys. I'm out here having it.
No, they've already clicked off because of Ben now.
Yeah, apologies, America. Apologies, all of America. But I'll go with my next one next, and it's a football stadium. And it's from a country that's probably the same size as Stoke-on-Trent, perhaps. It's a European country, and it's the Victoria Stadium in Gibraltar.
Oh, shout.
Now, this is it's only a 6,000 capacity stadium. It's not the biggest at all. It's a 3G pitch. And the fact that all 12 Gibraltar National League sides play on that same pitch, because there's no room, there is literally no room at all because they've got a big rock in the way.
Gotta love a 3G pitch, though.
Yeah, and I know for a fact, following Gibraltar football quite closely, that it's certainly progressing and it's certainly on the rise. And I know there's plans in place to expand that stadium outwards a bit. Obviously, they haven't got much room because, well,
they're right next to an airport.
They've got the picturesque surroundings of the rock to the north of the stadium, and then they've got Gibraltar Airport to the south. I mean, you can't really get much more picturesque than that, really.
No. I'm noticing a theme with yours. You seem to like stadiums next to mountains.
Yeah, just a geographical person. Yeah, so the Victoria Stadium in Gibraltar is my third stadium, because I already said the St. Louis Cardinals Stadium. But
yeah. I'll move my third one then, and there's me bending the rules again, as always. This isn't actually a stadium, but I've gone for Augusta National.
I said that was allowable. I said that was allowable.
I did check.
Well,
I just like to bend the rules every week, make it interesting.
To be fair, I know we're saying stadiums, but sporting venues is more the correct word.
Yeah, well, it's certainly the most iconic golf course in the world.
Exactly.
It's the most iconic golf course in the world. Then 3 holes in particular, 11, 12, and 13 at Augusta National, are probably the 3 most challenging holes in golf. Quite frankly, I mean, we all did our Masters predictions. I did my Masters predictions in about episode 16, And it was episode 18, I think. And let's face it, I got nowhere near with my predictions. I think the person I predicted to win it missed the cut. So,
yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think any of us were ever going to come close to the actual result.
That's how unpredictable Augusta National is, and that's why it makes it iconic sporting venue. So I 100% back that as a keen goal for myself.
Yeah, I know you would, definitely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. John, tell us your fourth stadium or venue.
So we're going to South America. Argentina, to be precise. La Bombonera, home of Boca Juniors.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, seeing some of the Copa 90 documentaries of when
away
Boca
days,
Juniors play River,
yeah,
it gets very violent. So let's just put it that way.
Away days, derby days, yeah,
Copa rivalry, innit?
Yeah,
the proper football rivalry. Never mind these petty Arsenal versus Tottenham rivalries. Boca versus River Plate.
You won't see the equivalent of John Stones and Maguire hugging after the game in Argentina, that's for sure.
No, absolutely not. Boca versus River Plate is probably one of if not the biggest sporting rivalry in the world.
Yeah, I think I'd put it class it as the biggest, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of actual city to city rivalry, because you've got iconic rivalries such as the El Clasico, for example.
Yeah.
But that's something we could do in future weeks, rank different rivalries, because I know for a fact that River Plate versus Boca would be up there. Definitely Rangers versus Celtic would definitely be up there. And there's got to be other ones in there. The Milan derby is pretty fierce at times. But no, La Bombonera, I would 100% agree with that. So my second one is also from Central America. It's from Mexico. And it's the Bancoma Stadium in Monterey.
Oh, shout.
Again, it's got a hill in the back of it. It's got a mountain in the backdrop. I mean, it's a massive stadium with such an iconic backdrop. I mean, it looks like a Jurassic Park set in the background, to be fair. But the stadium, Monterey, not a bad side in Mexico, probably one of the better ones. I mean, the fact they took Liverpool quite far in the Club World Cup in 19 shows that the standard's not too bad in Mexico. But then again, it's Mexico. And the only way I could see the Mexican League ever being furthered would be it joining the MLS, but that will never happen ever.
Maybe a more chance now Trump's not president anymore. He would never let that happen.
But I don't think the Mexicans and the Americans would get along very well if that ever happened. But no, the Bancoma Stadium in Monterey is my fourth or fifth. I think it was fifth. Yeah, fifth option.
Already?
Yeah, because I said another one. I said the cricket ground, the Gibraltar ground, Monterey. Oh no, I have only said that is my fourth one. Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah. I was going to say, hold on, I went first.
Apologies. No, that is my fourth one. I can't
it's fine. It's fine.
I suppose I better do my fourth one then. Again, I've gone a bit unexpected in terms of my knowledge for this one. Not really limited to one sport. If I go on Madison Square Garden.
Oh, home of the Brooklyn Nets. No, New York Knicks. Yes.
Yeah, the Knicks and the Rangers. And then there's obviously, they've done boxing there over the years. There's been wrestling, there's been MMA there.
Brooklyn Nets at the Barclays Center. My bad. Yeah. But there's been some iconic sporting events at Madison Square Garden throughout the years. Boxing, wrestling, you name it.
Yeah, exactly. In terms of American stadiums go, I think that's one of the most iconic, definitely.
That's what makes these American arenas so special, because you get so many events being held there, like boxing, like basketball, like wrestling. I mean, I can think of the Staples Center in LA, for example. That's the one that has a Madison Square Gardens feel to it.
That will go down as an honorable mention. I did consider Staples Center, to be fair, and the Honda Center, home of the Mighty Ducks, but didn't go for them.
Yeah, well, I haven't actually got an arena on my list, but mine are just specifically stadiums that I've done for my...
I like to twist the rules in my favour, though. We found that out last week when we were building those teams.
Yeah, as you put Liverpool players in, but
yeah,
never mind. John, tell us your fifth one.
So my final stadium is the largest stadium in the world, home of the North Korean national team in Pyongyang. It's the Rungrado 1st of May Stadium.
I'm not going to bother writing that down. I'm just going to put North Korea stadiums.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But if you ever look at the pictures, guys, you'll see why. Biggest stadium in the world at 114,000 seater stadium.
So what makes that so iconic? Just because it's the biggest stadium in the world?
Well, if you see the pictures of it, it's on an island all by itself. It's brilliant.
I'll get a picture of it because I don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, I'm going to have to find a picture of it.
It actually made its way in the recent update. It made its way into Microsoft Flight Simulator as well, with the Suez Canal. So,
Yeah, it's quite a nice stadium to be fair.
It's not bad. Prefer Wembley.
Oh, funny you should mention that because number 5 for mine is actually Wembley.
Of course.
What a segue. Highly professional.
You Brexiteer.
Well, I went quite well with my other 4.
When you said that, he looked really sad.
I did a well mixture. I'm in an effort to go for a mixture of sports, and then I've finally switched back to football at the end, and I'm acting like I'm fine. You're acting like I've just said Anfield 4 times. Wembley's not just football as well, as it's American football. If I'm linking to America every time.
No, I'll let you.
Concerts as well.
Yeah, the arch is the iconic arch.
Yeah, because then you could also say the old Wembley as well for the iconic structure at the front of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
it's the second most famous arch in the world after the golden ones at McDonald's.
Very clever. Very clever. Very clever. Brilliant. No, Wembley's definitely on my honourable mentions, plainly because I was trying to steer away from British stadiums because I've seen loads of them. But my next one is another huge football stadium and an iconic football stadium, and it was the host of a World Cup final in the last century. Century's a bit pushing it, actually, because the World Cup's not been going for a century. It's the Maracanã in Rio.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a shout. That's on my list of honorable mentions as well.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just an iconic stadium again, isn't it? It's just It's been used it was used at the 2016 Olympics as well.
2014 World Cup.
2014 World Cup. That iconic Mario Götze goal in the final for Germany against Argentina.
Yeah, after Higuain missed a sitter.
Yep, and did Brazil lose 7-1 to Germany in that stadium?
I
don't know if it was in that stadium.
I don't think it was.
Google that. Might have to Google.
I remember. I think Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain scored his first England goal on debut against Brazil in that stadium.
I don't remember. I've just Googled the wrong thing and put Brazil 7-1 meme instead of Germany.
It was not at the Maracanã.
Where was it?
Some place I can't pronounce.
Stadio Mineirão, I think. Does that sound right?
That sounds... Pronunciation's a bit off, but it's
Brazil.
I'm Brazilian, am I?
It's in Belo Horizonte. That's where it was.
Is that where Atletico Mineiro play?
Wouldn't know. It's worth a Google. Because I wouldn't know. But
I know Brazilian football.
Maracanã is on my list as my number 5. I mean, I have got 2 more actually. I did do more than 5. Because I break the rules as well.
It's pronounced Mineiro. Ronaldinho played.
That wasn't far off. I'll take that.
Ronaldinho played for him when he went back to Brazil.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, shows my lack of footballing knowledge. That I thought it was at the Maracanã, but never mind.
Just assume every game at that World Cup is at the Maracanã.
Yeah, it's the only stadium that I know from that World Cup, the Maracanã, and the one in Sao Paulo that was never finished.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Forgotten about that one, to be fair.
Yeah, Ronaldinho played for Atletico Mineiro from 2012 to 2014.
Fair dues. Well, let's go on to a few honourable mentions now, because I'd say there's probably a few that we could probably knock out at the start. Both of my honourable mentions are from the UK. I mean, for the sake of it, I have put Turf Moor on there just because I think I'm funny.
Happy place, Turf Moor.
Jordan North loves it, and so do I. I mean, it's got character. the fact we've still got wooden seats in the Premier League is just absolutely joyous.
Yeah.
Nostalgia.
It's
Nostalgia.
character.
Yeah. One of my honourable mentions will be Lord's Cricket Ground, home of England and Middlesex.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say it's home of England because England play all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, it's one of the stadiums England use.
Yeah.
But probably if you're looking at a 5-test Ashes test match, it'll be probably the most like main one. It's like they'll build up to the final one and it's always at Lord's.
Yeah, host of Middlesex and the MCC. Certainly an iconic cricket ground, that's for sure. Along with Cam. I mean, it's got the big the media centre at the back.
Yeah, the big white tower.
Yeah. And obviously the iconic pavilion with the long walk and the long room. That's very iconic.
I love when they pan when a batsman loses his wicket and walks off and he walks into the long room and everyone's applauding. That's such an iconic scene. Sorry.
Yeah, because the MCC members are so lovely and down to earth. They'll applaud them even if they are an Aussie who have just been bowled out for naught in an Ashes test match.
Nah, MCC members love cricket. They just do.
They live and breathe it. Yeah. But I have got another cricket stadium on my honourable mention list. It's not Lord's, even though that would definitely be up there. It's one that's got a picturesque view in the background. It's the county ground in Somerset, in Taunton, the home of Somerset Cricket Club. Now, it's got the river next to it, and there's many a time that the ball gets hit into the river.
Yep, I remember watching a Vitality Blast game and Chris Gale knocked a few in the river in one game.
Yeah, do remember that vividly. But you've got the Devonshire countryside in the background, and also obviously you've got the river running through the city. Is it? Yeah, Taunton. No, who knows? But never mind. Taunton's an honourable mention.
Somerset.
Taunton's an honourable mention.
You got any honourable mentions, Rob?
I said Anfield because I wanted to annoy you both, and then I didn't know other than that.
No, well,
to be fair,
you're lucky I got 5 together. Realistically, if my record of planning.
Another honourable mention would be the Rogers Centre in Canada, that are home to the Toronto Blue Jays, because it's in the background. If you look at the stadium from outside, it's got the iconic Rogers Tower, telecom tower, right behind it. If you Google that, it looks amazing.
There is another honourable mention that I want to bring to the table, and it is the Olympiastadion in Berlin. I mean, it's iconic not for a good reason. I mean, it was built during Nazi Germany, which isn't exactly a pleasant time that we should be thinking of. No. But the fact that it's got half part of the stadium missing, just because it's got an iconic plinth in the background, is iconic to say the least. And it's still going strong today.
Yep.
Being built in the 1930s, and having visited there just before COVID started, it's a pretty nice stadium, to be fair. I mean, it's got a similar vibe to the London Stadium because it is an Olympic park.
Yeah, it's got a track and field.
It's got a track and it's got a football pitch in the middle. So you do feel like you're at the London Stadium.
Yeah, because that was originally built for the 1936 Olympics, wasn't it?
Yeah, the one which Hitler hijacked from Barcelona.
Yeah.
Because he wanted Germany to be the biggest and greatest of all time. And we know how that happened. But no, so we've got the
German football grounds are top tier.
To be fair,
Dortmund's one, Bayern's one as well.
Yeah, Bayern Munich's one. The fact that in the next league down, 1860 Munich play there as well. And with the LED lights around the stadium, when it's red, you know Bayern's at home. When it's blue, you know 1860 are at home, and when it's white, Germany are playing.
Yeah.
It's the same again, another German stadium. You've got the Veltins Arena, home of the newly relegated Schalke. I mean, you've got the big screen right in the middle of the stadium.
Have you seen their tunnel?
I haven't.
Google their tunnel. It's they've redone it out, so when you walk out the changing room, it's like you're in a rock mine. It's brilliant. It's actually brilliant.
Let's have a look at. Oh, blimey! Yeah, that is good.
Yeah,
that's really clever.
It's incredible because they're a mining city, so they implement that. So it's like when the opposing team walks out, they're like, oh gosh, you know.
striking fear in their enemies' eyes.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's an iconic stadium, even though Schalke is the name. Schalke isn't the city. It's in Kaiserslautern. I think that's pronounced right.
Yep.
But German's not my strong language, so we have got to get to the tricky task of ranking our top, what we'd say our top 3 is out of all the ones we've said. So we can't just say one that we've gone for each. We have got to agree. Because we all have our favourites, but we've all brought strong things to the table in terms of sporting stadiums and sporting venues. So now we're going to get to a top 3. So any takers for ones that have to be in the top 3 and make his strong arguments, bearing in mind we've got just under 7 minutes left on this call.
Don't know, to be honest, I didn't really pick mine. I didn't realise we were ranking these at the end. I didn't put that much thought into it, if I'm being honest.
With me, I feel like the Bombonera is a shout. Just because, but it's up to you guys.
I would say Bombonera is definitely top 3. Say that comes in at number 3 to me.
Yeah, just because if you've ever seen the Copper 90 Derby Days video, like Ish goes off, man. Like there's flares.
I mean, the fact that the Copa Libertadores semi-final got cancelled twice. Because of Boca
it had to be
versus
played
River
in Madrid.
Yeah. That shows how violent things get at Bombonera.
Like, not the fact that it could be played in a different country. It had to be played in a different continent.
Yeah. I know. No, I'd happily put Bombonera at number 3.
Yeah,
I'd also put Fenway Park at number 2, plainly for the fact that you and Rob both said it.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah,
and it's just an amazing stadium. That's all.
And we've got to make a decision for number 1 now.
Tough one.
It's a tough one, isn't it? It is a tough one.
More.
I would be tempted to say Newlands, the Cape Town Cricket Stadium. That's what I'd say is my number 1. Plainly because of it being, especially when the sun's out of that stadium and the mountain back, it just looks so pretty.
Yeah, to be fair, can't argue with it.
So have we got a top 3 then? I thought this would take a lot longer than it has.
Oh, yeah, Newlands. I've just seen it. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Has to be up there.
Mate.
So we have a top 3, and it's from 3 different sports. So we've got football coming in at number 3 with La Bombonera in Argentina, Buenos Aires. We've got Fenway Sports Park in Boston, Massachusetts. And at number 1, we've got Newlands Cricket Ground in South Africa. Thought that would take a lot longer than it did, but it didn't, which shows that we're getting better at this and things are getting a little bit easier to discuss. But anyway, that's just another different episode for this week. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been fun researching these stadiums and looking at different stadiums that, well, we'd want to visit and stuff, and shows how iconic they are in sporting events across the world. But no, we've come to a top 3. It's a fair top 3. And that will bring episode 21 to an end. So make sure you go back and listen to last week's episode and stay tuned for next week's episode. Not a clue what it's going to be yet. We'll probably decide the Saturday morning before we record.
Yep, as usual.
Yep, sounds about right. But
I'll do my prep approximately 2 minutes before we usually start as well. Same as every week.
Standard procedures. But anyway, it does bring episode 21 for an end. Thank you for listening. Take care and goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.